And now we're very pleased to be joined by Long Island's own Congressman Steve Israel, and more than just worrying about your district here. With the DCCC, you've been looking at the national landscape. A lot of tight races here, and top of the ticket always matter, especially in election year. What does the Vice President, more importantly the President, have to say that's going to make your life a lot easier?
I think the President has to share his vision of where he's going to take the country and how he's going to rebuild the middle class over the next 4 years. I think what he needs to do essentially is challenge us. He needs to bring us to a higher place. He needs to summon us to the best of our abilities to contribute to expanding an economy, growing the middle class, creating more businesses. And we can do that by working together rather than continuing to have a Congress that is about obstruction and polarization and politics all the time.
You know, you've seen the polls, and the question every incumbent's got to answer is, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? 2/3 of the public say they're the same or worse off. And they've heard the soaring rhetoric, but they say, tell me not only what you've done, but more importantly, what you will do. What specifics do you think you'll hear from the President? From a tone standpoint, how is it going to be different than Denver, where he talked about reaching across the aisle? It can be argued he tried that, it didn't work.
Well, look, we have a president who, despite his best efforts, faced a Republican Congress that admitted on the first day of his term that their job was not to create jobs, but take his away. Where you had a Senate Republican leader, Mitch McConnell, say our only priority is to deny him a second term. Now, enough already. If President Obama wins, and I think he does, I hope that will send a message to Republicans that it's time to drop the partisanship and build up the middle class again. We need cooperation and we need compromise. And that's what the American people expect, and that's what they deserve.
You know that Bill Clinton probably laid out the most articulate argument to that middle-class voter. You got a lot of white middle-class voters who might have voted for Obama last time, but are either on the fence or leaning the other way in Nassau and Suffolk County. What do you say, or what will he say to Long Island to say, I know what you're talking about, I get it, and this is what I'll do? Is there something specific that they can hear tonight?
He needs to talk about priorities in that middle class. He needs to talk about the investments we make in the middle class. He needs to say, look, there are two choices we have over the next few years. We can invest in the middle class, or we can raise taxes on the middle class in order to give tax cuts to millionaires. This is never before have we had two such starkly contrasting priorities in how you build an economy. The President has to talk specifically about, here's how you retool manufacturing, here's how you create new energy jobs, here's how you reduce taxes, the tax burden on the middle class, and here's how you have shared sacrifice by asking millionaires to do a little more so that the middle class can grow. Bottom line is this: the President has to say that we grow an economy from the middle class out, not from the top down.
Would you suggest, if he asked you, he said, Congressman, should I call out Paul Ryan and his budget? Or would you say, stick to the positive and just tell him what you're going to do?
No, look, every election is a choice, and people need to know what the priorities are that Republicans have: protecting millionaires, outsourcing jobs, and what are the priorities of Democrats: protecting the middle class, bringing jobs home. Those are contrasting priorities that voters deserve to know and understand.
Would you sign up right now to keep the same margin in the House? Do you think you're going to pick up seats? Is there a snowball's chance, and you know whether you actually can take back the majority?
The House is in range. We need 25 seats. It's in range because this deep sense of buyer's remorse has set in. Particularly independent voters wanted a Republican majority that would focus on creating and opening up businesses, not shutting down Planned Parenthoods. There's a sense that their priorities have just been too extreme. We need new priorities that are focused on the middle class and job creation, and that's why the House is in play.
So far, so good. I've heard from almost every account for the convention. If it goes well tonight, what do you think? What kind of a bump do you think you're going to see tomorrow?
It's almost impossible to predict, but you know, look, I don't believe in bumps. A bump is a temporary
better than a dip.
State. A bump is always better than a dip, but either one is temporary. What counts is what happens on Election Day, and the next 61 days is going to be a debate between choices. Do we invest in the middle class, or do we continue to protect millionaires? Whenever you have that choice, we win.
Congressman, I appreciate a few minutes. Thank you so much.